How can anyone, whether they want to work in a language school or privately from their own laptop anywhere in the world, create a rewarding and impactful career teaching English as a second language, even if they are just starting out or have no teaching experience or ability? Hi, my name is Lynette Kim, and here on the TESOL Talk podcast, I aim to answer that very question. Today I want to talk about a frequently asked question, and it's from people that don't have a university degree. They haven't done anything since leaving high school, or they might have done a few courses totally unrelated to teaching. And so they ring, when they call in, they're asking, look, I don't have a degree. What options are there for me teaching English as a second language? I mean, I'm not a teacher. I don't have experience. How can I do this? And it's understandable because you would sort of think naturally it's teaching, and people hear the word English and they start going, oh, okay, so Shakespeare, literature, writing essays. They start thinking of high school or primary school English and grammar and all these things, and immediately freeze up and think, there's no way I could do that, or I want to do that because that just sounds so hard. But actually, it's not what teaching English as a second language is about at all. So for people who don't have a degree, there are some amazing options. And what I want to say to them constantly is you're teaching conversation. So students who are learning English as a second language, they generally are having some form of grammar instruction in English in their home country before they do English studies, or even if they're learning online, they're getting English grammar at their schools in their home countries or wherever they are. So that's not what they need you for. Hi, it's Lynn here. I hope you're enjoying this episode of TESOL Talks. I just want to let you know that if you're interested in teaching English as a second language, the best way to get started is by getting your TESOL certification. And I recommend a TESOL Australia course because, well, I wrote them. I put everything that I wish I had been taught when I was first teaching into the TESOL Australia courses, along with a lot of other information and training. If you have any questions or you need someone to help you figure out a plan to create a rewarding and impactful career teaching English as a second language, simply go to our website, tesolau.com. That's TESOLAU.com, and fill in the inquiry form to get professional advice on your goals and exact situation. Now let's get straight back to the episode. What they don't get is speaking and listening opportunities with a native English speaker or a very high-level fluent English speaker. And that's what they're really after. So they want the opportunity to hear English spoken naturally, and they want to be able to practice speaking English the way that English speakers do. Because can you imagine if you learned perfect grammar and then you were out there trying to listen for English speakers anywhere, so like New Zealand, Australia, Canada, America, and you were constantly listening for proper, correct grammar structure in sentences, you'd be going crazy because that doesn't exist. I mean, we as English speakers, most people are quite lazy. Like, we love to use contractions. We love to shorten things and shorten words. We use so many colloquialisms and idioms for, just expressions that, English students don't have a hope of understanding if they're learning correct grammar. So what this is all about is that listening speaking opportunity. So you don't need a degree, obviously, to teach that. You need to know what that is, but you also need to know how to teach it. So, you've learned your native language, and you learn by being totally immersed with, your parents, your caregivers teaching you, people around you, your community. But these people learning English as a second language don't have that usually. So they're going to rely on you to be that community and give them all the varying scenarios, life skills, situations where they would be using English, meeting people, buying tickets to go on a bus or a train, traveling, work situations, life situations. So that's where you come in. So when students are paying for these lessons, they want vocabulary, they want these expressions, idioms, and colloquialism, slang basically, and they want lots of opportunity to listen to English being spoken naturally, and they want to be able to practice speaking themselves in a safe environment where they don't feel awkward. So no, you don't need a degree. You can certainly be good at this. Very, very good. Some of the best teachers actually teach without degrees, and they have a TESOL certificate, and they go on and they have a wonderful career teaching online, face-to-face, and overseas. So what are these options? What are these opportunities? So number one, if you don't want to leave your home country, say you're, in a Western country like Australia, New Zealand, America, Canada, and you just want to teach from home, that's totally fine. So you can teach online. And, when you do one of our courses at TESOL Australia, at the end, you have work experience with a real online school, and some people actually get offered jobs from that. We've had a number of our graduates be recruited from their practicums, which is part of the course. But also, our job support team, we have a dedicated job support team who will arrange job interviews with online schools. And there's also platforms where you can put your details and a little spiel about yourself and what your services, teaching that you offer. And you can put that on these platforms where students are going on and they're choosing teachers to have lessons with. But even the TESOL Australia website has the Hire a Teacher page where students and recruitment officers from ESL Schools overseas and online can go on there and just choose a teacher and contact them about lessons. So there's some really exciting opportunities. You can teach online. You can teach privately, face-to-face. You might want to set up a room in your home or have an area in a coffee shop or somewhere where you're going to meet students and do lessons. You can teach while you're traveling. So, a lot of people have the nomad lifestyle nowadays where they're traveling around, and, people have even YouTube channels talking about this, how they have their English teaching jobs while they're traveling around with their families, and that supports all their travels. And, it's an exciting lifestyle to just walk away, step away from society and just live a nomadic, independent lifestyle. So there's that. And also you can go overseas. Oh, actually, before I go to overseas, study tours. So here in Australia in particular, but other Western countries, every year, twice a year, for anywhere from a week right through to even 8 weeks, study tours come. And so these are international students who are not on student visas. They're on visitor visas. They're generally children, and they come out and they do English lessons with ESL teachers. And then also they'll go for tours like to Movie World, Dream World, things like this, and parks and wildlife sanctuaries. So they do all of this as like a holiday package. Now, constantly ESL schools, they have their regular staff, but those regular lessons, that regular staff they have their own classes and are employed. So they need additional teachers for study tours. Now, study tour teachers do not have to have degrees because they actually are not students coming on student visas. So there's no requirement. So there's lots of work for study tours twice a year, as I said, for a long, up to 8 weeks at a time. So there's study tour work here in Australia as well. And sometimes, there are non-accredited, they don't have students on student visas. They just have students who are already here that want extra lessons, particularly for something like IELTS, where you can work without a degree in these schools. So there is that option. Now, going overseas, there are many, many, many countries where you don't need a degree to get a job full-time in a school. And when we're saying school, we're talking generally about private language schools overseas, but sometimes it can be even in government schools. So there are certain countries that allow that, and there's no restriction. And if you have a look on the TESOL Australia website, on any of the courses pages, you will see, if you scroll about 3/4 of the way down, there's a tab, Work Opportunities Without a Degree. And you can see a whole list. Now, that's not even the total list. There are even more countries than what are featured on there. So there's some, in Europe, there's some South America, there's some in Asia. So have a look at that if you're interested. But so you can actually teach in a host of countries overseas and have an actual job on the ground in the country. But the other option, and this is becoming more and more popular as the TESOL industry or ESL industry is becoming so huge, and particularly with online teaching, and it's forecasted to just explode. You can teach online and take your online job anywhere. So it doesn't matter what country you go to. Go on a visitor visa. Your job and your earnings aren't coming from that country. And work as you travel around, be a nomad internationally, and really enjoy that backpacker lifestyle and mixing with different cultures and communities and like people will still approach you for private tuition. So, but there is the option for that lifestyle, and a lot more people are embracing it. They want that freedom. They don't want to be locked in and tied to one place and one job any longer. So teaching online is perfect for that. So yes, there is a wealth of opportunities. You don't have to have a degree. If you do have a degree, obviously, you have a few more countries in your options for teaching. And you can also teach, if you completed the degree in an English-speaking country, you can work in Australia, or like other countries that have that degree restriction. But honestly, I wouldn't hold back. When I started in this industry, I didn't have a degree. I started out, I was kind of thrown into it, and I worked for a number of years without a degree. And then I worked overseas, came back to Australia, set up my own private teaching business. And I used to have between 8 to 10 students daily coming to my home, and I had a dedicated classroom, and I taught these students, and I earned up to about $1,000 a week doing that, and it was fantastic. It was a wonderful lifestyle, and I did that for a while before actually going on and doing formal training and eventually getting my degrees. But it's up to you now. Luckily, through being a native English speaker or a fluent one, you can actually choose your own lifestyle and how you want to live, and no degree necessary. Thanks for listening to TESOL Talks today.